I see it all
Yes.
around me. Why don't you tell us about the importance, because you've talked about that in some of your videos, of having a set routine, a habit, if you like, of eating times, sleeping times,
Yeah.
even bowel
Yeah.
movement. You've talked about
Yes.
bowel
Big
movement
on
as
bowel
sleep time.
movements. Before I answer that, I want to respond to your comment, which I think is so important. You know, there's approaches out there that can work for a majority or for half. And then there's going to be the group, the 20%, 30%, 40% that don't respond well to fasting or keto or those things. And I've always been interested in that group. I'm interested in the outliers. I'm interested in the people that have different neurochemistry. And so I suspect that the reason why one person would be able to fast without difficulties and the other person would be, you know, losing their cool, dysregulated emotions and binging their brains out is because of different neurochemistry. In other words, different serotonin and different dopamine. We do know that carbohydrates have a serotonin effect, and some people will do better from not having any stimulation there and bringing their sort of serotonin down. And then other people will need a certain amount of activity in the serotonin system. And the same is true for dopamine. Individuals with a history of addiction are going to have different baseline levels of dopamine, right? So if someone is really, really low at baseline in their, you know, dopamine neurotransmission, and then you do a dopamine fast, right, where you're not eating, you're not doing any stimulation, like if it gets too low, the reptilian brain is going to show up and say, this is a threat to our survival. We need some activity here. And that's when people experience loss of control eating. And so we don't really have great data on this. This is more of a theory that I'm saying, is like, how do differences in people's serotonin system and dopamine system point to different needs for different nutrition interventions? But I think that's a really, really great area of future research. And so for someone that doesn't do well with fasting and keto, it might be because of their brain chemistry. And in these cases, someone would do much better with a very consistent signal of food, you know, and this is also true for people that have trauma. For someone that has PTSD or a lot of early life adversity, it is characterized by feelings of unsafety and inconsistency, right? So if someone has, you know, has a nervous system that's always detecting threats, it's very possible that no food could come as a threat, or erratic or unpredictable food patterns can register as being threatening to survival. So for someone that has a lot of trauma and a lot of addiction history and disordered eating, I make the argument that the best thing to do is to get consistent with food and like pick meal timing strategies. You know, first figure out how many times per day you want to eat, and then roughly pick the times. And it doesn't have to be, you know, exact, but if someone were to say, I'm going to eat at 8, 12, 3:30, and 7, right? That could be a very good strategy, give or take an hour, you know, on both sides. I do think that that consistent message has a lot of benefits. For some people, it's blood sugar stabilization. As you know, everyone's probably got some differences there. The other one is just a consistent flow of nutrients. The body can only like absorb so many nutrients at one time, right? So if you give it like a protein 4 times a day, could be better than getting it all in one meal, right? And that's certainly true for, you know, a lot of athletic performance studies. And then it's just the message of consistency to the nervous system. You're safe. There aren't scarcity. There aren't shortages. Everything is coming, right? So yeah, some person could really benefit from getting a shortage message. Nope, there's nothing coming. We're good. Turn off, turn off. But for someone else, they need to get the message of there's carbohydrates, protein, and fat coming. You're safe. You don't need to go into any crises. Your neurochemistry has support, right? Your gut bacteria is working. Your enzymes are working. Everything's working. We're just smooth sailing. We're having consistent patterns with food, with sleep, with movement, bowel habits, water, getting some sunlight. And for some people, that is the key to success with nutritional recovery.
Wow, that's fascinating. It really is, that consistency. I noticed that not with respect to sleep or stress necessarily, or even bowel movement. I hadn't even considered that, but I see it around me that consistency helps with regulation of blood sugars and also mood. So that's
right.
related. Now you explained it.
Yes.
So it's fascinating.